Hi, I'm Bob Batcher, your Prime Plus Senior Centers, and this is Prime Time with Bob. Prime Plus has been an active member, I think a lead agency, they call us, at the table with the revitalization and re-engineering and reinvention of a major part of the city of Norfolk. And I've got two people who are going to kind of straighten me out and tell me what it's all about. Susan Perry and Nicole Todd. I'm going to let you guys give me your titles because I know you as Susan and Nicole. But before we do anything, all the meetings I go to as a participant, we have to check in. So Nicole, you're usually the one making us check in. What do you mean by check in?
So we just want to ground ourselves in the work. So we want to get a feel for the room. And so we always start with two questions. One is always the same. How are you doing today? That's always the start. The second one can vary. And so you can pick any question that you want to kind of get your pulse on. What are you looking forward to on the holidays? Or what is your favorite holiday meal? It's whatever you decide.
Go for it, Nicole. Check in.
All right. So our check-in today is, again, how are you doing today? And then what is the one thing that you are going to do for yourself during the holiday time? Usually the person that is doing the check-in goes in last. So Bob, you go.
Okay. Doing perplexed because I want to keep moving forward, but I'm not sure what forward looks like. And what am I going to do for myself? Wrap those presents that are in my closet for my wife that the girls are sending me. Susan.
Well, good morning. I'm doing well, and for myself, I'm going to try to sleep a little bit over the holidays, and also maybe take advantage of being home and doing some of those things with my girls that maybe I couldn't do before when I was in the office.
Wonderful. And I am doing well today, a little anxious about everything that's happening in this climate that we're in. But I am looking forward to spending time with my girls. And as Susan said, just kind of doing some things that, we haven't had the opportunity to do. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Super. I wanted to start that way because I wanted the people that are watching this to get a sense of what I take away from this project. That the St. Paul's Quadrant, and I want you guys to name it for me. What is the official name? But the focus of these meetings and the idea of the partners coming together is you're really dealing with the human element, not necessarily the timeline of brick and mortar, which so often in my many years with the city, we would start off with the timeline. But you really deal with what's happening today with the people. Did I hit it, Susan? Is that a thing?
Yeah. That's right. I mean, our whole work here with the residents is around people first, right? How and we've called it that, right? Our people first initiative to really understand how do we work in collaboration with residents first before sort of any physical redevelopment happens. That we understand where they are, what they bring to the table, and understand what they want to work on. And what goals they have for their families.
Now, if you've been leaving town and down Tidewater Drive, you know the neighborhood we're talking about, but I'm not sure if the person watching does. So Nicole, define the geography of the neighborhood.
So when you look at the work that we're doing, you're looking at Tidewater Gardens, Calvert Square, and Young's Terrace. Those are the three NRHA communities that are going to be impacted by this. Right now, People First is really focused on Tidewater Gardens, right? That's our main focus right now, is working with those families that are there. So that's where we are as folks. If you don't know, that is an area that is impacted by some infrastructure that creates just massive flooding. It is a place that has numerous areas where the flooding just kind of takes over. I think I've heard Susan say this before, that the way it's built, it was built on top of water, and water has a memory and it will come back, and it is doing so.
That's right.
So, yeah.
It also is a project that was built back in the 50s and 60s, right, Susan?
That's right. It was Tidewater Gardens was built in the 50s. Yes, late 50s.
And I remember the first time I went in one of the units. It's it's kind of like my office now, concrete block. I can't tell you what it was like to put that picture up on the wall. It was hard. It involved a drill. And so
Yeah.
it really is housing that's been outdated for the people that are living in it. So now is the time to move on, and also to move on correctly, right, Nicole?
Absolutely. We are, providing residents with a choice on their options for relocating, which is, I think, is the most important thing to know, is that, each and every resident gets to decide how they're going to move out of Tidewater Gardens. And like you said, yes, the infrastructure there is very, very old. And our families are excited about the opportunity to really go out and find a place that meets their needs and what they can call home.
But there are programs that are being put in place that will allow them to succeed in moving out.
Absolutely. So People's First, that is our task day to day. That is our goal. We are a team now of 19. And so that is our focus day to day. Meeting residents where they are, understanding from their standpoint what it is that they want to work on, using our network of our service provider networks who really have stepped up to say, we want to walk with you and the residents through this process, right? So they're going to be there to receive our referrals. And that's really we kind of have our key pillars. So we look at economic mobility, health and wellness, education, and our housing stabilization. So all of our partners will fit in more than one category into that.
Okay, so where were you on February 1980 when I moved to my first townhouse from my apartment, had a mortgage payment, utilities, and said, what have I done? Because I had no prep except it's what you do.
Yes.
So it's really that investment in the human life that you're doing.
Absolutely, because it's a big change. It's a big change for some folks. For some folks, maybe they have not been in public housing before. Living out in their own rental unit before. So it is a big change for them. And so a lot of our work is just kind of providing support and letting folks know it's going to be okay. And it's okay if you're nervous. It is absolutely okay if you're nervous about that, because, it is a big step. So, just again, wanting to be there as a support, letting folks understand, like, this is what's happening based on what you've chosen. Like, you got to be prepared. You're going to have potentially a water bill. What to do if you're having an issue with your lease, what you should do to, follow up with your landlord. Like, we just want to really just kind of be there to be a liaison with them and help educate them as they go through the process.
Susan, why is it so important to the city that this be done right?
I think it is. I think we feel like it is our duty and our responsibility to make sure that that we reduce poverty in our city, right? And that we take care of our neighbors. And so the city has made this investment, $3.5 million every year into perpetuity, as many of our council members like to say, to really ensure that families are stable and thriving, right? And so the work that Nicole is talking about doesn't just happen through, somebody being successfully rehoused. We are committed to staying with families for up to 5 years after the move, so that we can really kind of help families become stable over sort of a long-term period of time. And that investment that council made in this program called People First every year really gives us the ability to be able to do that in ways in which maybe, other human service programs that are tied to federal or state dollars aren't able to do.
Now, this all started, though, with a vision on council, but HUD is a major component of the financial support of this, correct?
Yes. So the city and the Housing Authority and Urban Strategies are partners in a Choice Neighborhood Initiative grant, which is a sort of the new Hope version of Hope 6, and so it is a HUD grant that provides $30 million over 5 years to transform the Tidewater Gardens neighborhood. And that $30 million can be used for housing, for supportive services for people, and for sort of neighborhood amenity type services. But the thing that's really special in Norfolk is that we have the funding that comes from the grant to provide those supportive services, but we also have the city's investment, which is unusual, right? It's really unprecedented. Most grantees only have what's available through the grant, and we have an additional $3.5 million every year to really ensure that our families are stable.
Nicole, I want to talk a little bit about the partners you've got. Of course, Prime Plus is, I'm proud to say, one of the lead partners, and we were one of the first ones at the table and very excited about doing it. However, COVID has kind of changed up how we do our business, because the original idea was to have people come here to our location and become involved in an inclusive community. But that inclusiveness we're going to kind of be doing by way of virtual. A lot of your partners found themselves in the same boat, right? And kind of reinventing how they do their services?
Yes, absolutely. They did. We reached out to all of our partners and kind of gathered them up and did a wonderful Zoom call with all of them just to understand what that impact was on them. And yes, so for the majority of our partners, they've had to pivot. They've had to look at their own infrastructure and make those changes to doing a lot of virtual work. Some are doing kind of a mix, a hybrid to say, where they're doing some virtual and in person. What I've heard from the partners are that there are some that have been actually very successful in doing virtual. Even they said that they're doing better than they did before COVID as far as their engagement, right? And then you've got some folks that are struggling with that. And so I think, you know, across the board, everybody is trying to figure out what's going to work for the folks that they are serving, and what's that kind of what's that meeting place where we can, you know, say, oh, wait, I think we've got it. So we try to be in constant communication with our partners to kind of understand and lift up any of the challenges that they're having, so that we understand, you know, from our end, okay, so what strategies can we put in place to alleviate this, right? If we are having some folks that are, you know, not being able to connect to those services, how can we work with the partners to create that pathway?
You know, you just kind of nailed what I think is the spirit of this project, that no matter what may happen, there's that spirit of we're going to move forward and do what's right. So, okay, so we have about a minute left. So what's next on the timeline? Who wants to take that one?
I mean,
go ahead, Nicole.
We are charging ahead. There's been no stopping us at all on this. And so we continue to engage our residents. We are continuing to enroll people into services. We are continuing to work with residents that are in the relocation phase. And so that's what our focus is. Our focus is to continue to work with the entire population, those that are on site and those that are off site. So that for us is just our continual day-to-day work.
Okay, well, guess what? You guys checked in. Now it's time to check out. How are you feeling? And let me ask you one question. What's the one myth that you want to straighten out?
Well, I can start with that. For me, the one myth is that residents won't be able to have the opportunity to come back to the redeveloped community, and that is absolutely not true. So we are working really hard and putting policies in place to make sure that residents have the right to return, and that we can make it as easy as possible for them to do that.
Super.
And for me, I think the one myth I want to dispel is that there is the support there. That is what People First is. That residents do have the support that they, if they choose to. And I think that's the other key, is that there is choice. And I think that is missing also from this narrative, that this is about choice.
There we go. Thank you, guys. You are ensuring that there is a happy holiday for as many people as possible in Tidewater Gardens, because it really is in the hands of the resident to make their life come true. Susan, I'm going to say happy holidays to you specifically, because do you wrap all your presents as you buy them? They're under the tree already.
I have been, yes.
So together, thank you guys, and please commit to come back on with some updates as things move on, okay?
Absolutely.
Happy holiday.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.